Welcome to Open My Gripe with Jeffrey Ide
and Jay Rice,
the place where serious and silly complaints come to chat.
Open My Gripe is a weekly podcast dedicated to hearing your gripes, grievances, and opinions on any and all topics.
Every episode, Jay and I will have the opportunity to get to the bottom of the issues which are lingering on the back of your mind and engage in order to create constructive conversation using a combination of lighthearted comedy and well-formed logic.
If you feel like we are wrong, inappropriate, or biased, then call in, email, or tweet and let your voice be heard. You can email us at openmicgripe@gmail.com or tweet us at openmicgripe, both of those, open mic gripes being one word. So jump on in and gripe on the open mic with Jay Rice and Jeffrey Ide.
How you doing, Jay?
Doing all right. About yourself?
What were you laughing about there?
Because you were making a face because I had shut off the speaker, so of course you weren't hearing the intro sound.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you never know when to start with these things.
Well, no, I did, but I was just waiting for you to.
Well, so welcome to Open My Gripe. Jay, you mentioned you had something on your mind.
I did. I guess I still do. I just found out, okay, so I was in this class and somebody was talking about how they got laid off and they were upset about it. And I said, well, I said, why don't you just apply for unemployment? And then they pointed out that they're like, you can't because he was fired.
So then he wasn't laid off.
Okay, what's the difference between laid off and fired?
If you're laid off, you lose your job because of cutbacks or because there's it becomes redundant. If you get fired, it's because of something you've done.
It sounds like laid off and fired sounds redundant.
What? Which one?
It sounds like they're the same thing.
Well, either way, people are losing their job. But the difference, I think, is, when companies cut back, they tend to let people go. That is something that you can fall back on local
So you're
aid.
saying laid off is not your fault, fired is your fault.
Correct.
Okay. But so I guess what I said is, why don't you apply for unemployment? And they pointed out to me that they're like, well, he can't because he quit, or because because he got fired. And that was news to me. I had never heard of that before. And then it made sense to me because I'm like, oh, is that why when somebody goes, hey, you're fired, and then you go, F you, man, I'm not fired, I quit. So then that way you can go on unemployment?
No. You have to be laid off. My understanding of it, anyway, because I've never been on unemployment. But my understanding of it is that you have to be...
Ooh, listen to Jeffrey. I've never been on unemployment.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's just I've never gone through the process. A lot of people haven't. But
you're gonna talk to me like you do know how it works.
My parents own businesses. I've heard this explained to me many times.
And so then what you're saying is that your parents lay off lots of people.
Oh, yeah, they're horrible.
My parents are just lowly farmers, man. They've never laid anybody off.
Yeah, well, the moment you get fired, you're going to go...
I won't. I'll go, Dad, you can't fire me. I quit. And then go on unemployment.
You can't get unemployment if you quit.
I think you could.
Okay. Well... Obviously, every state's going to be a little bit different.
I guess here's the thing that bothered me, though, is why... Okay, if somebody wants to work, and because the thing is North Dakota is a right-to-work state, so you can be fired for any reason. You could be fired for the fact that we don't want you to work here anymore.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it's your fault. So I don't get why that person couldn't go on unemployment if it's not anything that they did. But if they want to work... Why couldn't they get unemployment? Because it's not because I guess in my opinion it wasn't necessarily their fault.
Jay's getting all feisty up here.
I am.
No, man. Listen. So, employers don't want to get the reputation of a company that's just going to leave people to to their own devices. They're going to try to help you out. And most states
What
they have.
companies are you working for that they're just like, hey man, we'll help you out?
Okay, so oh yeah, also something to factor in for those of you who are
What?
not living
Wait,
in
hold on. Why are you talking all around the room and not into the microphone?
I'm talking into the microphone. So for those of you who are not living in North Dakota has the lowest unemployment in the country, largely due to the oil boom in the west part of the state, and because of that, it's also got one of the most considerate unemployment programs. They actually pay you quite well, I've heard.
I have no idea. I've never been on unemployment.
Okay. Fair enough.
Which is why I have no understanding of how it works. So I guess that's I'm not. I mean, I'll admit I'm completely ignorant on this,
Yeah.
and it just blew my mind because this guy wanted to work. I mean,
Right.
that was the thing. He wanted to work, and I didn't get into the background of like why he got fired. But again, I do know that in North Dakota they can fire you for any reason.
That's not true. They can not for. I mean, there's any kind of discrimination would be illegal.
Yeah, but then they just say it's something else. I mean,
Right.
technically, since it is a right to work, they could basically say, we don't want you to work here, and you couldn't prove that it was because they were a minority.
Right.
I mean, so that's the thing that bothered me is that I didn't realize that. Yeah, I don't know. That's what I was griping about because it's just like if somebody wants to work, because I do know that when you're on unemployment, you have to show that you are applying to jobs so often. And for me, I said as long as they're applying for jobs and actively looking for a job, I don't see why somebody couldn't be on unemployment.
Well, it depends. A lot of states do have it function that way, I've heard, especially on the coasts. But again, at this point, I'm trying to pick out little fragments that I've heard here and there. I don't remember specifically.
I'm trying to really piece it together as well. So
Yeah, well, I mean, unemployment is a big mystery to me at this point. I'm hoping that I'm hoping that I won't need it, but we'll see.
yeah, who knows?
So, what kind of a theme do you have for us today?
Well, what I was thinking is I thought we could go with another Hodgepodge episode.
Hodgepodge. Oh, the episode we had before.
Yes, we did have one episode where, like we currently are not really getting a lot of call-ins or people interacting with us beyond basically through Facebook. So a long time ago, I believe it was Gripe number 3.
Largely, I need to point out largely because we haven't yet published, and so at the time of this recording, people aren't necessarily aware that they can call in.
Right. Well, I was going to kind of keep that under wraps, but that is absolutely true. Although we are very close to publishing.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can get some people actually involved in calling in and writing in, twittering in, tweeting in, tooting in, whatever you want to do. If anybody toots in, I will be very impressed. But we actually had one where I went on Facebook and just with the people I knew, asked them to, I guess I probably should look at it, what I said here. Please help me out with some research I'm doing. Tell me what's bothering you. And so this is actually a continuation of, instead of, by the way, I should point out, we're not calling them episodes. We're calling them gripes. So this is from Gripe number 3.
Gripe number 3.
Which I think we called Hodgepodge. Because I don't like compilation. I'm not saying we need to stick with Hodgepodge. But I'm just saying, everybody has a compilation.
Tweet us or toot us a name for Hodgepodge. Okay, so I enjoyed that last time. I think we had a really great time listening to what everyone had on their mind and just kind of going off.
I know you really enjoyed the ones that you wrote.
Oh well, especially. I feel like it came from the heart.
I don't think, a lot of times I think what you write doesn't really come from the heart.
What? Listen.
Comes from the head.
Stop. Yeah. Okay.
You're an emotionless void of a human being. And if you've heard the other episodes, you say love all the time, so it has no meaning.
Yeah.
You say other things, masturbation all the time, so that it has no meaning.
I'm desensitizing the good things in life.
Do you want to desensitize the good things?
Yeah.
What about the negative things?
Like what?
I don't know. Why don't you desensitize racism, Jeffrey?
Oh yes, because that's what they need is a white guy walking around the Midwest desensitizing people to racism.
Just desensitize them.
Just be as horrible as possible.
Yeah, and just be. I'm just desensitizing you.
Listen, this is for your own good.
I'm not sure how that would work. But I'd like to see you give it a try.
Okay, so one of the examples that I said.
Oh, big
Okay,
surprise! We're starting off with one that you said.
One thing that really pisses me off is dillweed.
Oh, we're gonna start off with that one.
We're starting with dillweed, man.
Okay, we're starting with dillweed.
Alright, listen,
Let me
everyone's got dillweed.
Let me
on
just
their...
read what he wrote. Dillweed. What the hell is it even used for? Making me upset? That's what.
Yes, it's there. It smells funny. It's never used in anything. Nobody uses dillweed.
Baloney. I love dillweed.
I don't know what you would ever use it for.
Dill dip.
What?
Dill dip.
What is dill dip?
It's a dip that's made with a dill. And
Do you make dill dip?
Yes.
From what?
Dillweed.
And?
Mayonnaise and and some sour cream.
Oh, that sounds disgusting.
No, it's delicious.
Nutritionists, write in at Open Mic Gripe.
You can even make oyster crackers. Well, you know what I mean. Oyster crackers are a certain thing, but you make seasoned oyster crackers with like some oil and other seasoning. But a main component of that is dillweed. Have you never had anything with dill in it?
No, of course I have, but it's. My problem is it's always in the way.
In the way
it's on my spice shelf, and I can't. Every time I smell it, I'm like, "There's no way I'm ever going to use this for anything." It's just a horrible.
You don't ever make like dips?
I don't make dips.
You just are one. I couldn't. Oh,
that's so clever, Jay.
I couldn't turn that one down. I know that was an easy one, but that one.
No, it's just a horrible thing, but I'm biased towards my dillweed.
I think you're biased against your dillweed just because it's in your way. It's dill, by the way, dillweed. If you want to give me a call, you're never in my way. I want more dill. I do. I've actually often said I don't understand why more things don't have dill in it.
I think you're just trying to get to me.
I'm not. I have literally said that to people before. Because I'll eat something with dill in it and I'll be like, that is delicious. I don't know why more things don't have dill in it.
Every other spice I can find a use for. Everything. Except dillweed. It just doesn't belong. And chip dips are not enough to keep it in your cupboard.
Yeah. No, it is. Absolutely.
Ugh. Anyway,
what about turmeric?
Yes, I use turmeric all the time.
Yeah, well, I was just trying to think of a spice I don't use.
Oh, okay.
I guess I don't make Indian food. Is that what you use it for? Yeah,
you can.
I kind of knew that. I couldn't think of another spice. I should have prepped. I should have looked in my cupboard at my cadmium. You don't use cadmium?
I use it, of course, for chai. It's good stuff. All right, what's the next gripe?
All right. Did we ever talk anything? Well, let's not. We don't need to talk about that. Okay, how about he put this one person? Again, we're not using names of anybody else because we never got any permission. But how about this guy says, when things in life are going relatively well, yet somehow my mind travels to the darkest places and I try to invent issues and what ifs. I want to be able to just be happy.
This person needs a hug. I don't understand. So things are going well, but the mind.
Okay, this person has severe anxiety, and so basically what happens is at all points throughout the day, they are constantly thinking that like their wife and family is being murdered.
Holy.
Yeah.
That's not so much a gripe as a cry for help.
Well, that's what's going on in his brain. That's what his anxiety is doing for him. Is that it's just causing him to slowly go insane about like.
Okay, for me, a dark place is imagining what a Olympic-sized swimming pool would be full of gelatin and getting suffocated, trapped in the middle of a gelatin swimming pool. That's a dark place.
Well, some people have darker places than you.
Fair. Right.
I know my dark places are too dark to mention right now. My dark places are much darker than thinking about my family being murdered.
Oh my. Uh, wow. Since we're on gripes, let's. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just way too happy to be entertained by dark crap. Like,
Well,
people have some pretty dark thoughts out there. And
yeah, but a lot of times I'm very entertained by my dark thoughts.
uh,
A lot of times my dark thoughts are way funnier than my happy thoughts.
man, it's all kittens and candy canes with me, man.
That's probably, and is that, maybe that's why you don't have like impeccable comic timing.
Yeah, well,
Because it's
how is that related?
Because a lot of times, at least that I've noticed, is that people that are a little bit more cynical and mean seem to have a little bit better comedic timing.
Well, okay. Well, I
It's
can see
usually
that.
because it's at the expense of somebody.
Right.
Not always, but
Okay, I can see that.
you should get your elbows off the table.
All right.
my
Elbows
gripe.
off
That's
the
my gripe.
table.
Because somebody might hear you banging on the table there.
I'm not banging on the table. I'm
You-
resting on the table.
Well, you're kind of banging the table there.
If you can hear us banging on the table, it's
right
at Open Mic Gripe.
Okay, so let's move on. How about people? Oh God, this person. People who use the excuse that language evolves as an excuse to not learn the semantics of their one and only language. I like how that at the end that was a dig at people that say this, because apparently anybody that says language evolves only speaks one language.
Yeah, well, okay. So typically, what I find is I would agree with this generally.
I'm not surprised. If you can't guess who wrote it, take a guess, and you'll probably figure it out.
Okay, so people always use this idea that language evolves as an excuse to not understand the grammatical structure or the syntactic structure of their own language, and as an excuse. So it's one thing to say, yes, I understand it. I know how to properly use the language, and I'm using some sort of cultural trend in language to describe things differently. That's different. This is someone who just unintentionally said something horribly wrong grammatically,
Mhm.
and when corrected says, oh, language evolves. Language is evolving all the time.
Okay, so like this would be somebody using the term literally incorrectly, and now the dictionary is actually changing the definition of literally to say sometimes means figuratively.
It doesn't make them any less of an asshat. It just puts it in the dictionary.
I know. I really hate that the dictionary.
Yeah.
It's like that ruins all integrity of the dictionary for me. Like I no longer feel like I can believe the dictionary because of that.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're just appeasing the crowds. I think they're trying to drive up numbers of sales.
Because so many people
They still buy the dictionary.
they're competing against Wikipedia
Yeah, well, and Google.
and Urban Dictionary.
Urban Dictionary actually has a lot of really important stuff in it.
I do believe that. There's a lot of times where I will go, that's not in the regular dictionary. Let me look at Urban Dictionary.
That's how I learned about Santorum.
We had a discussion about Santorum, and apparently that is homophobic to talk about.
What?
That's what Ben was saying.
Oh. Yeah, I remember that now.
Let's not discuss
It's been a little while. I want to know out there how many listeners are using dating apps such as Tinder, Grindr, OkCupid, etc., etc.
Facebook, MySpace.
Is that a dating app?
Well, back when I first got MySpace, I could consider it a dating app.
Yeah, well,
because,
technically, Yahoo chat rooms used to be dating apps.
yeah, well, I'm just saying, I've hooked up more through MySpace than Tinder or any of the other apps that have ever been out there.
My gosh,
Not currently. I'm not going.
Jay is the reason why MySpace no longer is a thing.
MySpace is a thing.
Is it?
Yeah,
Is it still a thing?
Yeah, MySpace is still a thing.
Oh wow.
It's basically it's more for promoting like musicians and probably podcasts and entertainers and stuff. But yeah, it's more of like I think that's what MySpace is used for more now.
Okay, I did not know that. Well, okay, so.
But if I would go on MySpace now, I might be able to hook up from somebody in the 90s.
You could hook up with your younger self.
That would be wonderful.
It would be, actually, I suppose. Anyway, that's a hypothetical we'll have to discuss another day. So, personally, I'm actually kind of satisfied that I gave a dating app a try, because I've been very cynical about it. And a number of
Hmm.
very good friends of mine who are do not need apps to date. Uh,
What does that? Oh, what does that mean? That they don't need apps to date?
they're more extroverted,
Oh,
and they don't have problem meeting people. But they convinced me to try using this because it's, I don't know. I guess it expands your circle of friends. So, this gripe is basically saying the people who use dating apps and make their kids the focus of every photo.
oh, okay. I just think, what is going on in your head? Because I feel bad for the kids nowadays that are growing up in this kind of technology age, because, like, if they do anything wrong or bad, like, that's forever going to be out there, because you know dang well somebody's going to put that on Facebook or 4chan or something where it's just going to sit out there.
Oh yeah. Well, I think you can still find my GeoCities page out there somewhere.
So yeah, I agree. Like, I don't get why would you put kid pictures of your kid? I want to protect my kids. I don't have any kids, but I want to protect my kids from the internet, from being on the internet,
From
where
creeps
just
looking
any
for a hookup?
weirdo can just take pictures of them and digitally remove their clothing.
What?
And well, I don't know. You could do that. They have Photoshop. I'm assuming creeps have Photoshop. I'm guessing we're not going to get a plug from Photoshop anymore.
Photoshop, if you'd like to leave
Photoshop for pedophiles.
serving pedophilia for over 13 years.
No, that's a Catholic church.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, it's been
I'm
a lot
sure
more
they
than
also have
13.
Photoshop.
Oh, I thought I saw Photoshop classes at the Vatican. No, okay. So I understand that if you're on a dating site and your kids are a huge part of your life, I'd understand that you'd want to show people these kids are a part of my life.
Right.
But that's not how you judge a person when you're looking at. I mean, these dating apps are often based on photos.
Mm-hmm.
Like you look at a photo and you swipe.
All right. I mean, even some of the ones that aren't, like OkCupid or whatnot,
Yeah.
and where it's that you have to actually answer questions and talk about yourself. I can't stand when it's just like, oh, I'm a mother, and that's it. And they can't say anything else.
Yeah.
If you have nothing in your life beyond your kids,
I feel sorry for the kids.
yeah, I mean, how do you think somebody is going to be interested in you? If somebody chose you because all you have is photos of your kids and the fact that you're only a mother, who do you think they're actually choosing in that profile? Do you think they're choosing you, or do you think they're choosing your kids? Which, if they're choosing the latter, that's a little creepy, and they probably have Photoshop.
Okay, but also people who take all of their photos from the same angle. You know what I mean?
God, yes.
Like everyone's got their favorite angle when they're taking photos. I get that, but the reality is you look the exact same no matter what angle you're taking a photo from, because everyone sees you every single day of your life from every angle.
Right.
The angle you take a photo from might make you feel good about yourself, but the rest of the world can't tell the difference.
There was one lady that you could swipe through it. Like, she had a bunch of pictures, and so if you swipe through them real fast, it's like she had a camera mounted, and then like had an X on the floor, so she would stand in the same spot, and it was like that's how she got dressed in the morning, because you could just swipe through, exact same look on her face, and just the outfits would change. It was honestly a little creepy.
Yeah.
And I just pointed, I'm maybe, and put it this way, a lot of times when I was on dating sites, there was a lot of times where I just said stuff. I was trying to be nice, but I don't know if that necessarily came across. They probably just thought I was being a douche about stuff. But I just pointed out that maybe they wanted to like vary it up a little bit. And of course, they never responded to me. But I saw this person in real life at one point. Yeah, she looked different at a different angle.
Okay.
She was huge, and I don't mean like fat. I mean she was very tall, like extremely tall. And I wonder if that isn't why she took him at that angle or what, because you didn't get that across in those photos. But
Well, I know. Yeah, I mean, people are trying to sell the best version of themselves. But I mean, the other thing that I have to say drives me nuts is everybody has to comment about height.
What do you mean?
So many women on these dating apps are saying what their preferred height in a man is, or how tall they are,
Right.
or requesting information about your height. And I
Yeah.
don't understand why this is such a huge issue.
Well, okay, I'll just point out something that's gonna make me sound like a horrible person. One
Again?
time, big surprise. One time at a gathering, somebody asked me, they're like, "Jay, what do you look for in a woman?" And I think I said skinny.
Okay.
And I kind of meant it as a joke, but at the same time, I'm not personally attracted to people that are. I have dated women that are larger. I mean, I do care about their personality as well, but in this situation, I did just say skinny. And this person was very offended by what I said, as I am guessing some people out there probably are as well.
Open my gripe at gmail.com. Subject line J.
I mean, but okay, but here's the thing: is there's also a lot of women, just as you're talking about, who will not date somebody under a certain height.
Right.
Okay, now how is that any different than what I said? There is a difference. You can change your weight. You can't change your height. So
So there's body shaming going on.
I don't think that's necessarily body shaming. That's
I think people have preferences.
people do have preferences, and that's not necessarily shaming.
Right.
Like if I would, because like I said, I have dated women that big, beautiful women, and I have friends that do enjoy that. I don't think that that's bad. I'm just
Right.
saying that personally, that was not.
Okay, yeah, but I understand that generally you want to date someone taller than you. But is that really the most important thing that you need to be putting in your profile? Is that something that you can't sit down and have a conversation at dinner with somebody before you say, "Oh, by the way, that he was a really great person, a little bit short for my taste," which would be absolutely okay.
Well, and I think probably a lot of, and as many things come down to insecurities. Like if a woman is very tall, I'm sure they feel even extra insecure if the person that they're with is shorter, if the guy is shorter, because then that points out her height even more. If she's with, if a woman is 6 foot and she's with somebody who's 6'8", it's not as obvious. I mean, you're like, yeah, she's tall, but you're also looking at the dude who's 6'8".
But most people aren't Danny DeVito. I'm just,
That's true.
it's most people fall into a very it's a strict bell curve when it comes to height, and I think most people are right up there in the majority of that I don't know, imperial measurement system.
Well,
Like
how big are these people?
170 to 185 centimeters, I would say, seems to be the average.
I just. Are these comments coming from women who are taller or shorter?
Actually, I've seen it across the range.
I would agree.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. All right, go for it. I want to hear another gripe.
Okay, well, actually, it's kind of on the same thing. And okay, by the way, okay, so there's another person said to exactly that. People who using dating apps to make kids the focus. They said yes. Also, people who use nothing but group photos on dating apps. Which one are you? You're not the hot one, are you? Of course you're not.
You mean they're trying to take advantage of the friends benefit?
Possibly, but then at the same time, if like I have seen times where it's like the same group of friends in like 3 photos and it's the same group, and so then there's no, like, a lot of times if they have different groups, you're like, oh, okay, this is the same person from all of them.
It's the same best friend in every photo.
Yeah, you're like, which one are you? And then this guy is saying, obviously not the hot one.
Well, that's going to be, I mean, how can you expect good results from that? Because you're going to go out and meet someone, maybe go out for a drink or go out for dinner or something, go out for coffee, and you're not going to be the one that someone was hoping you were.
Well, I mean, I hope that if you guys would meet up at some point, you would have already discussed which one you were.
Yeah.
But you're right. But like on something like Tinder, where it's supposed to be like instant, like, do I like them or not? And you're swiping. Suppose, which one are you doing? I mean, which one are you like focusing on?
Yeah, no.
I mean, that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Someone also added the gripe in here. Also, when they use landscape photos.
Yes. Oh, this person's so intelligent.
Clearly. So he said, so you're not only are you not showing me who you are, but you're showing me someplace you've never been to. And
Likely.
and I get this. I know exactly what you mean. It's confusing.
Right.
I don't know what I'm supposed to learn about that person other than the fact that they liked.
The Taj Mahal.
Yeah.
and you're from North Dakota. I highly doubt you've been to the Taj Mahal. Okay, hold on. I can see your face. You probably, Jeffrey, you're about to tell me you've been to the Taj Mahal.
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay, right. I know, but you're not most people. But also, would you put the Taj Mahal as your, Tinder photo?
Here's my next gripe. I'm ready for it. The Taj Mahal is one of the biggest scams.
It's one of the
tourism.
7 wonders of the world.
No, it's one of the biggest scams in tourism history. I mean, it's first of all one of the ugliest cities in all of India. The worst harassment while you're there, just by people who are trying to sell you stuff. And every picture you see of it, you're seeing all this beautiful countryside around it and the river behind it. When in reality, you see the river and there's so much crap you'd have to walk on top of the trash. To wade out into the river. Yeah, it's really dirty and disgusting and polluted. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Maybe that's why it's one of the 7 wonders.
It's a wonder why people keep going there.
Then actually, what should be the 8th wonder of the world?
What's that?
Is that trash heap in the middle of the ocean that's the size of Texas.
Oh yeah.
I would actually like to see that.
That'd be pretty cool. Let's start a little colony out there.
I agree. Like a colony of bacteria? I'm sure that's already there.
Just get some floating rafts, some yachts.
You could probably just walk around on it. Just put some planks of wood on top, start a little floating city on top of trash.
Waterworld.
This could be the way. This could be the way that we expand more people onto our planet. We just put all of our trash in the ocean and build cities on top of it.
Yes, and we have to defend ourselves from the smokers, and eventually deal with mutants. Waterworld? No? Come on.
No, I understood all the references.
You can't get into fresh water if you're living on a Texas-sized pile of crap.
Why can't you just put your hose really far down into the ocean?
It's salt water. Unless you have a desal plant, in which case you need to power it. How are you going to power it? Solar?
No, with the water turbines. I've got this all figured out.
Engineers, email your complaints to Open Mic Gripe.
Let's build this trash city.
I'm finding a couple
we can
holes
use
in
the
this
ocean.
logic.
No, I don't see a one. We can use the ocean to power it. I think this all makes sense.
Yes.
Somebody send me your schematics. I'll start piling up all my chicken bones.
All right, before we change the subject, though, I do have to know, what would be the name of this community?
My trash city?
Yeah.
Upcycle City.
Upcycle. Okay, all right, let's go with it. I wanted to see what your improv effort could do there. All right, so what's the next gripe?
How about okay, this is and again, these didn't really come in any obvious order, but comics who complain about people making the obvious joke on any current event. Let it be, man.
Comics who complain about people making the obvious. I don't get it.
Okay, here, I'll use an example. Remember when Paul Walker died?
Yeah.
Okay, so he was in Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
Okay, so as soon as he died, there was just hundreds and hundreds of jokes, probably thousands, of comics making that same, like, oh, Fast and the Furious, it should have been slow and steady. I don't know what kind of jokes. Basically, it was about him dying in a car.
Oh, lovely.
Okay, so those kind of jokes, that's why I wasn't going to jump on that bandwagon, but now I got to see if I can remember my joke. And so I think finally I was just like, all right, screw it. I've seen so many of these, I've got to get in on this. And so, like, I made the not obvious joke, and I'm like, did you guys hear that Paul Walker died in a car? And of course they're like, yeah, and it's just like, and I'm surprised because his last name is Walker. I'm not saying it was a good joke. I'm just saying it wasn't the obvious joke.
Wow. All right, maybe I just need to process that one a little longer.
I probably should have given it a little bit more of a pause.
Okay, horrible joke aside for the moment. The next gripe is actually, okay, I want to bring this one up. Someone wrote in and said the fact that Facebook is still showing me ads for chicken diapers because I clicked one link in a thread about having chickens as pets weeks ago. I'm not bothered that I see the ad. It's kind of funny. I'm just bothered about how bad Facebook ad system is. And actually, I know this person who wrote this, and he's absolutely right here. Whatever you're looking at on Facebook, whatever you're Googling, the information goes back into ads to be showing you, and that one moment of curiosity where you thought you would click on that link and find out what on the what page that was, it turns into the next ads you're going to be seeing for the next year.
Yep.
And that is a bit much.
I think what okay, I'm not saying that this is true, but I did find this to be an interesting coincidence, is that at one point one of my friends was telling me about Facebook ads and how he was talking about, I don't remember what he was talking about. It was like he was talking about some product. And then he was just talking around his phone. And then when he opened up his phone, Facebook had the product that he was talking about as an ad focused on him.
Wait, from the phone call?
No, he was just like talking around his phone. Like, you know how Facebook gets into your mic and everything. They have access to all of that. And so I think what he was worried about is that Facebook was listening to what he was talking about and then promoting ads based on that.
Is there anything to substantiate this?
No, there is absolutely not. But the weird coincidence that happened one time is that you and I have watched that documentary about Doc Ellis.
Oh yeah,
and he was, but where he pitched a no-hitter on LSD.
Yes, everybody, I implore you, go and Google Doc Ellis's
It's
no-hitter.
on Netflix now.
On Netflix?
Yeah,
Are you serious?
Yep, that documentary, the doc. It's like a documentary about Doc Ellis.
It's easiest to find on YouTube. Just search for Doc Ellis no-hitter. It's a animation where the Major League Baseball player Doc Ellis is recanting the story where he pitched a no-hitter.
Completely high on
while
LSD.
tripping on acid, yeah.
And so I heard my friend told me about this product thing, and I was just like, that sounds like a bunch of BS. But I was riding in the car with two people, and drugs came up, and like they started talking about LSD, and so we were talking about it, and I went and looked at my phone, and what is being promoted to me? The Doc Ellis documentary about him pitching a no-hitter on LSD.
Well, didn't you see the video though?
I did see the video, but we saw that video like 2-3 years ago. Okay. And then when this thing happened that I'm just talking about, this was about a year and a half ago.
Okay.
And so like there was no reason that all of a sudden this would have came up and been promoted to me. So I think it was only a coincidence, but I'm like, very interesting coincidence.
Well, I think we need to test this out.
I think space.
Spacebook.
Yes.
That's how we're going to keep from being sued here.
That's true. I think Facebook is getting into my face and promoting what it thinks I want to see.
Okay, well, I mean, I know that you and I have talked about doing an entire episode on privacy.
That's true.
And I really do want to get into it, but there are just so many things right now where it's not so much that I necessarily have a problem with sharing data, but it just seems sometimes like so much that I'm not aware that I'm sharing.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, and yes, and let's just say that I work with data, and working with data, I've discovered how much data is tracked, and it is absolutely scary.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Extremely scary.
Well, what was the next gripe that you could come up with?
Okay, go ahead. I'm trying to, I'm hitting stuff on the table. Okay, the next thing was when my kitten digs in the cat box with his nose, then attempts to nuzzle me with his litter-covered nose.
Ew.
Can you split screen that?
Yeah, I can. What did? Okay.
So when my kitten digs in the cat box with his nose and attempts to nuzzle me with his kitty, oh my goodness, litter covered nose. Yeah, I guess that would be pretty gross. Why would it? Wait, hold on. Cats nuzzle their face into cat boxes?
I've never seen that. Well, I don't know. I don't think they're nuzzling. I think they're smelling.
Are you a cat man?
Cat man.
Are you a cat? Are you a cat or a dog person, Jeffrey?
I'm a cat person. I am.
You're a cat person because you don't care if your animals love you?
No, but I appreciate an animal that wants you to earn its respect. I love dogs as well. I just don't find I find dogs to be subservient, and they need to worship you as the owner. It's the same with a cat.
Yeah, I'm a dog person.
It's the same with a cat, but
my dogs need to worship me.
That's
one of the rules that I have for my dogs.
You need obedience.
I do. Absolutely.
And see,
they better listen to me.
I want my cat to be a peer rather than something that's just there to listen to my every command. I love the challenge of it. And I find the compassion to be a lot more sincere from cats.
Okay, the thing is if dogs treated their owners like cats did, nobody would own dogs. Because you can have a cat. Cat owners will have cats that hate them. And they will keep those cats. If you had a dog that would bite you every time you tried to pet it, you would put down that dog.
I'm getting this idea that you've had some horrible times with cats.
Well, I'm just saying, I've pet a cat for like an hour, and then all of a sudden, for no reason, that cat just freaks out.
It wasn't for no reason. You just didn't get to know it.
I was petting that cat for an hour.
Okay, and then eventually it had enough. You gotta be able to read these things. Okay, and dogs do that too.
Okay, Jackson, are you the cat whisperer now?
Come on, man. I'm just saying cats don't bite you for no reason.
I think they do it because they hate people.
They hate
in
people.
general. But I have friends that own cats that they hate, and they keep those cats.
I'm at a loss for words here. This is okay. So they have an animal they hate
because the cat is an asshole.
Okay, well, cats are allowed to be assholes.
See, why? That seems like a ridiculous pet to have. No. I owned snakes, and snakes were awesome, except for when snakes started to bite you. And you know what? Yeah, there were reasons that snakes would also bite you.
You can't snuggle with a snake. A snake can't read into your mood.
Baloney, you can't snuggle with a snake.
A snake can't read into your mood and comfort you when
can
you're having
snuggle
a hard
a snake, and they'll wrap around you and snuggle you.
Trying to bite you more.
And try to swallow you. It's called love. It's called
nibbles.
tough love
right?
from your python.
Okay. All right, I've got a gripe here.
Okay.
I'm going to skip through a couple of these here, primarily because I don't really want to talk about the price of wheat. I don't know what North Dakotan put that down.
Well, the price of wheat is really low. If you pay over $5 for a loaf of bread, wheat should be at a higher premium.
And now we're talking about the price of wheat.
Yes, because because this directly affects me.
Well, yes, you're a farmer.
Yes.
Okay, but for the rest of... most people in this country are not farmers. Just saying. I agree with you. People need to understand where their food comes from in the process. But the price of wheat is something that only farmers would give a crap about.
It's something the world should care about.
Well, that's why we depend on farmers to give a crap about it, so that we don't have to. Am I wrong?
Yes.
I care about the end product. I care about the bread. I care about the process. I want to know where the food comes from. But
you don't want to pay for the wheat?
What?
You're part of the problem.
I'm paying for the wheat when I buy bread.
No, you're not. You're paying the company because it's not a two-way street.
Okay. Well, why do I feel the need to get more into the price of wheat right now? I'm not doing it.
I'm just saying, people, pay more for wheat.
No, the people aren't paying more for wheat.
But they should.
Companies are paying for wheat, as you eloquently pointed out.
I know, but people work at those companies.
People don't decide how much the companies are going to pay
Oh
for
yeah,
wheat.
who decides it, Jeffrey?
The people who run the companies.
No, that's not. The
So-
market does.
Oh, okay. So
But people run that market.
who's running the market? Mm-hmm.
Oil companies.
Okay. End of wheat conversation. End of wheat. No more wheat. To change over, somebody here said not having access to real Mexican, Persian, Turkish, and Lao food. Viet Palace is not being about. So he's referring to the local area, and he's
Yep.
saying that there's just not enough access to real authentic ethnic food.
I would agree with that. I mean, we are stuck here in North Dakota, and there's not. I would say that our ethnic food choices are not wonderful.
Yeah, it's either Tex-Mex, Asian fusion, or pizza. Really,
Right.
subs and pizza. That's the thing. If you want
Yeah,
food
I mean,
late at
there's-
night, you're gonna have to get either the fast food style stuff or subs or pizza.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say that oops, sorry, that's my computer. Oh, hey, can I turn that down? Oh, my volume was way up. Oh, dang it!
Thank
Again.
you, Jay, for the sound effects.
I mean, even like any kind of Mexican food that we have is not really authentic.
The price of wheat turned his volume up.
My computer was also upset about the price of wheat.
Yeah, no, I sympathize with this person. I think it's. I really want to have some authentic food like Nepali food, but I have to go to the Twin Cities, Minneapolis area to get good food. I shouldn't have to drive 3.5 hours. But the problem is, of course, that most local people aren't exactly the most open-minded when it comes to trying and enjoying new food.
When you say local people, do you mean local people in the United States?
No, around Fargo area.
Right.
I mean, there's just not much demand for.
Hopefully, this podcast goes out to everyone.
Yes, that's true.
So why are you getting down on locals?
Why can't I get down on locals?
Was that a sex joke?
No. Let's encourage a huge diversity of food. Around.
No, I think I do think it's bothersome when people don't want to try new things.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Would you introduce the next one because
Okay.
I'm ready to go off on this.
All right, customer service over the phone. Is it inept and are impotent? It doesn't matter if they answer in the U.S., India, or the Philippines. It's almost as bad as their voice recognition tech, which makes me want to commit murders.
I actually didn't write this, but I can understand completely. Okay, first of all, when you call into a helpline or a call center, I know that call centers think that they're saving time and money with some sort of automated routing system that you can get from one place to the next and record information so that the person on the other end of the line doesn't have to record that information. But I'm sorry, it doesn't save time. It pisses everyone off and gets them all strung up and stressed out before they get there.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't listening. What?
Well, okay.
What if I think this is a preference thing though, because I think some people enjoy not speaking to a person.
I just start screaming operator at the machine
Why don't you just hit 0 on the phone?
because it says something like, we did not understand your command.
How can it not understand the command of hitting 0 on the phone?
Because it doesn't always lead to the operator. Anyway.
Have you tried it? I feel like you're just saying that and you actually haven't tried it.
Because usually you have to hit a language key first, 1 or 2.
Eh.
Anyway,
Usually just hit 0.
I understand.
You don't need to be screaming at a computer, Jeffrey. It's not going to do you any good. Why don't you just hit 0
Well, I'm
and
actually
tell the system where to go and not be so upset about it?
because they make you listen to lengthy messages before they even give you options.
Right, because they want to give you some background because they don't want to waste their time. They're trying to cut down on
I don't give a crap about their time. I care about my time, especially if I'm at
Right,
work.
but don't you realize that if they don't give those messages, then your time is going to be wasted more because it's going to take because then every person that calls in, they're going to go right to a person, and then that person is going to have to explain everything to this person, as opposed to having a shorter queue where this all could be explained to them beforehand. And if you would listen instead of just yelling operator at a computer, you could hear all of the
I'm
stuff that
listening,
needed to be
but it's all
told to you.
simplistic and every it's usually very entry level knowledge about whatever you're calling.
Right, and you probably need to know that but instead you're not hearing it. You just want
Uh,
to skip past that and get right to a person,
yeah,
and now you're wasting everybody else's time.
I'm not wasting everyone else's time. I know
Yeah,
what I
yeah, you
need.
are. I'm in the queue. I'm waiting, and now they have to talk to
When I'm
you
call,
and waste all that time
you should be able to
explaining everything to
bypass it
you.
because I know what I need when I'm calling.
But then you're gonna have every idiot who needs a lot of that stuff explained to them, and they just gonna want to bypass it too, and they just want to go directly to the person, and then that person's gonna have to say, "Do you want me to speak to you in English or Spanish?"
Right. And by the way, this
I like how you agreed with that.
the
'Cause that wouldn't happen.
This message I do want to say for all the listeners out there, if you've ever worked on a call center, and I have as well, I
Oh well, I haven't.
I everyone
Actually, I
should know,
have.
treat the people well on the other end. You can be frustrated at the company, frustrated at the products, frustrated, but unless the person on the in the call center is being a dick, be nice to them because they hear the worst rants from the crabbiest people in the world, and that they deal with the shit. That's their job.
Yeah.
So
I was always really good at like call center stuff. I mean, I guess I always did customer service. I guess I never did the only outbound calls that I did were people that were already customers, and it was
yeah,
just like filling orders and stuff like that. But I always felt like I was really good at de-escalating customers
yeah, yeah.
because
Oh,
it helped.
there were a couple I had to antagonize a little bit though.
I did have okay because also dealing with telemarketers, most of the times you just have to say no
Mm.
3 times and then they hang up. They're just they have
It's
to
like Beetlejuice.
yeah they have to you have to be like no no thank you, and then they'll go on a little spiel, and then you just sit there and you go no no thank you, and then you just sit there and listen to them give the next part of their spiel, and then you say no no thank you, and then be like are you sure, be like yeah I'm sure, goodbye. Except for this one guy. I sat through this. I sat through a spiel, and I was just like, no, no, thank you. Got through the 3, and then he kept going, and I'm like, what is happening right now? And I'm like, no, no, thank you, and it just kept going, and I'm like, sir, I am not interested. And then it was like because I'm always very polite, and then that was when I started getting not polite.
Yeah.
And finally, okay, but here's the kicker. So I got into this like argument with this guy, and I'm like, dude, I am not interested in whatever it is that you're selling. I can't remember what it was. I think it was some weird vacation or something.
Okay.
We hang up. He calls me back.
What like
Yes,
instantly?
he calls me back, and I'm like, what is happening right now? I had no idea how to deal with this because I understood that most of the time you just say no 3 times. They're obligated to stay on the phone 3 times.
Okay.
I had no idea what was happening in my life. This guy was harassing me.
He really wanted you to go on vacation.
He did. He wanted me to go on vacation really bad. He could tell I was so upset. He was like, "You need to go on vacation."
Calmer than you are. No. Okay. Okay. Well, by the way, when was the last time you had a telemarketer call you?
Not for a very long time now that I've switched to
The cellular phone services.
since I have mobile phone
Yeah, nobody gets
options.
telemarketers anymore. No, but okay. So at call centers sometimes, when it's bad service, I get frustrated
Mm-hmm.
because the managers so rarely care. I'll always ask to speak with a manager.
Yeah. You're one of those people.
Yeah. What? I like to, if there's something wrong with service in general, I like to talk to the manager. I like to try to prevent it from happening to someone else. What's wrong with that? What? Don't give me that look. That is not unreasonable. If you're at
Do
a
you do
restaurant.
that in restaurants?
Yes,
too?
I do. I was just going to say, when you're at a restaurant, you get bad service. It's not enough to like snarkily leave them not as much of a tip. You need to talk to the manager and say, like, this shouldn't happen. And it happens.
What kind of thing, just give me one example, what kind of thing in a restaurant would cause you to ask for the manager?
If there was a very strong attitude, or so in the service industry, good service is the goal. You want to make the customer feel desired and important and special and listened to. And if they're just being openly disregarded or disrespected, then that's something you need to point out. And I've actually had people roll their eyes at me in customer service.
Oh goodness, they rolled their eyes at you?
Yeah.
How dare they?
Their job is...
What kind of things were you doing to cause them to roll their eyes at you? That's what I want to know.
Well, listen, okay, sometimes my shorts just... No. No, it's... Who knows? Who knows?
I'm sure you do.
I
And you
don't
just don't
remember.
want
I don't
to... You don't
remember.
have a problem pointing out that they're rolling their eyes at you, but you don't want to point out the horrible things that you were doing to cause them to... roll their eyes, and then you got to get the manager involved.
Well, okay, so...
And you're the reason why people spit in food.
If I, if I have less than admirable service, I'm going to tip not at all. And if you go back to the same place, so the whole point of tipping not at all. Or
Okay,
tipping,
this is a whole nother subject. I know this week we're kind of here at the end of the show, and tipping for you, that could be a whole episode.
Yes.
That could be a whole episode. So instead, why don't we just end with one of the last comments?
Okay.
One of the big gripes that somebody has: soggy dog poop.
Soggy dog poop.
I agree. So you guys, this today on Open Mic Gripe, we've discussed, of course, some of your gripes. We actually did discuss today if you're one of my friends and had a gripe.
Also, feel free to check out our Facebook page, where you can add your gripe and ask us
That's
to
true.
address any number of issues, anything you can possibly think of, from the cover-up of the aliens to come up with something equally ridiculous.
Well, now why is that ridiculous?
Well, because
could be real.
conspiracy theorists are ridiculous.
They've got to be right some of the times. It's just plain numbers.
No, conspiracies happen,
They-
but they're
they've
called
gotta be right
conspiracy
some of the
theorists
time.
because there's insufficient
So
evidence
right
to
on
demonstrate it.
in,
God damn it.
everybody. So right on into the open. What is our Facebook page?
Hanlon's Razor.
I suppose if you search Open Mic Gripe, you'll be able to find us on Facebook.
Yes.
But of course, Jeffrey and I would like to thank you for joining us and listening to Open Mic Gripe, the place where serious and silly complaints come to chat.
We'll be bringing you all new episodes every week, and we encourage everyone to participate by sending your gripes, grievances, and opinions to openmicgripe@gmail.com or tweet us at openmicgripe. Remember, that's one word, Open Mic Gripe.
That is true. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you didn't, check us out next week when we will be discussing your grape.
Thank you.